My husband took me to his office party, then told me to act like I didn't know him. I always thought I knew my husband better than anyone. We had been married for 6 years, built a life together, shared secrets, dreams, or at least I thought we did. So when he invited me to his office party, I was excited. It felt like a small but sweet chance to be part of his professional life, to meet his colleagues, to see the world he spent so much of his time in. I picked out my best dress, spent hours getting ready, wanting to make him proud. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for what happened that night. As soon as we stepped into the bright, buzzing room, he leaned close to me and whispered words I'll never forget. Act like you don't know me. At first, I thought he was joking. I even laughed nervously, waiting for him to smile back and say he was kidding. But he didn't. His face stayed cold, distant, like I was just another stranger to him. I stood there, frozen, while he walked away and disappeared into the crowd. I watched him greet other people, laughing, chatting, living a life where I clearly didn't belong. Every second felt heavier than the last. Why would my own husband ask me to pretend like we were strangers? Was he ashamed of me? Was there someone else? Was he hiding something bigger? Something I wasn't supposed to see? I felt a knot tighten in my chest, but I forced myself to stay. I needed to know the truth. I needed to find out what was really going on behind those fake smiles and empty champagne glasses. What I discovered that night changed everything. I stood awkwardly near the entrance, clutching my purse like it was the only thing keeping me grounded. People brushed past me, smiling politely, lost in their own conversations. No one knew who I was. No one cared. It was like I didn't exist. Every time I caught a glimpse of my husband, he was surrounded by colleagues, laughing at jokes I wasn't part of, sharing glances and inside stories I had never heard. I tried to make sense of it. Maybe there was a good reason. Maybe it was a work thing, a business deal, something he couldn't explain right now. I kept telling myself that over and over, but my heart wasn't convinced. Every minute that passed made the knot in my stomach grow tighter. I moved toward the buffet table, pretending to be busy, pretending not to be watching him. But how could I not? He was the reason I was here. Or at least I thought he was. I caught sight of a woman, beautiful, confident, walking up to him. They talked like they knew each other well. Too well. She touched his arm lightly as she laughed, and he didn't pull away. He smiled at her the way he used to smile at me. I felt a wave of heat rush over my face. Was this why he wanted me to act like a stranger? Was he hiding me? Because he already had someone else to show off? My mind was racing, filled with questions I didn't want to ask, but couldn't escape. I thought about leaving, about walking out and pretending this night never happened. But something held me there. A quiet voice in the back of my mind telling me that if I left now, I might never know the full truth. I needed answers. I deserved answers. So I stayed, quietly slipping into the crowd, watching him, trying to piece together the parts of his life he clearly never meant for me to see. Every conversation he had, every glance he shared with someone else, felt like another crack in the life we had built together. And then, just when I thought the night couldn't get any worse, I saw him do something that made my blood run cold. Across the room, I watched him pull out his phone, glance around quickly, and then slip through a side door. My heart skipped. Without thinking, I followed, careful to stay hidden behind small groups of people still deep in conversation. The hallway he disappeared into was dimly lit, quieter, almost too quiet compared to the loud party behind me. Every step I took echoed in my ears. I moved closer, and that's when I saw him. Standing with the same woman from earlier. They were speaking in low voices, and I couldn't catch every word, but I caught enough. Words like safe, no mistakes, and she has no idea. My hands started to tremble. Were they talking about me? I pressed myself against the wall, trying to piece together what little I had heard. It didn't sound like an affair. It sounded worse, like they were plotting something. But what? And why would my own husband be involved in it? Before I could think, another voice startled me. A man's voice behind me. You shouldn't be here. I spun around, heart pounding. It was another man, someone I didn't recognize. He wore a sharp suit and had the kind of cold, practiced smile that made your skin crawl. He didn't seem surprised to find me there. It was almost like he had been expecting it. I'm just looking for the restroom, I lied quickly, forcing a small laugh. He didn't move aside. Instead, he studied me for a long second, like he was trying to decide whether I was a threat. Finally, he stepped back just enough for me to slip past him. I hurried away, trying to stay calm, but my mind was screaming. What had I stumbled into? What kind of world had my husband dragged me into without even telling me? I found a small corner near the entrance and pulled out my phone. My fingers hovered over the screen. I wanted to call someone, a friend, anyone. But who could I even explain this to? Hi, my husband told me to pretend I don't know him, and now he's whispering with strangers about keeping secrets. It sounded crazy, even to me. And yet, deep down, I knew I wasn't imagining it. Something was happening, something dangerous, and somehow, without warning, I was right in the middle of it. I tucked my phone away and forced myself to stay calm. I couldn't leave now, not when I was this close to finding out the truth. My husband reappeared in the main hall minutes later, laughing like nothing had happened. The woman nowhere in sight. His mask was back on, perfectly in place, but now I could see through it. I could see the cracks I had never noticed before. I decided to follow him from a distance, blending in as best I could. He made his way toward the far end of the room, where a set of private meeting rooms stood behind glass walls. I stayed back, pretending to admire a painting on the wall, all the while keeping him in my sight. He slipped into one of the rooms, and before the door could close, I caught a glimpse inside. My stomach twisted. Sitting around the table were several men and women, none of them looking like employees you'd find at a normal office party. Their sharp suits, guarded expressions, it all felt wrong. It didn't take much to realize this wasn't some friendly after-hours meeting. I strained to listen, catching only broken sentences, words like deal closing, no mistakes, insurance, and liabilities. My mind spun. Insurance, liabilities, what kind of deal needed this much secrecy? And why was my husband, the man I shared my life with, right in the middle of it? Then, as if the universe wanted to punish me for digging too deep, one of the men noticed me lingering. He said something quietly to my husband, and in an instant, my husband's face changed. His smile dropped. His eyes locked onto mine across the room. For a moment, time stood still. I saw a flicker of panic in his eyes, not anger, not even guilt, but fear. And that terrified me more than anything else. He excused himself quickly and started moving toward me, fast. I panicked and slipped back into the crowd, weaving between people, heart thudding so loudly it drowned out the music. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I had to get away, to find somewhere to think. But before I could reach the exit, someone grabbed my arm from behind, hard. I gasped, spinning around, and came face to face with someone I never expected to see tonight. Someone who knew more about my husband's secret life than I ever could have imagined. I froze, my heart hammering so loudly I was sure everyone could hear it. Standing in front of me, gripping my arm, was Ryan, my husband's old college roommate, someone I hadn't seen in years, someone my husband had once trusted more than anyone. Ryan leaned in close, his voice low and urgent. You shouldn't have come here, he whispered, glancing nervously over his shoulder. You have no idea what you've walked into. I tried to pull away, but his grip tightened. Not enough to hurt me, but enough to let me know he wasn't letting go easily. What's going on, Ryan? I hissed. Why is my husband acting like I don't exist? What is all of this? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he scanned the room, making sure no one was watching us too closely. Then he leaned in even closer. Listen to me, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. You think this is just about an affair or some office drama? It's not. It's bigger. Way bigger. You're in danger just being here. My blood ran cold. Danger? From who? From what? Before I could ask more, Ryan finally let go of my arm and slipped a small flash drive into my hand. It was so fast, so subtle, that no one around us noticed. Take this, he said, and whatever you do, don't trust him. Not tonight. Not ever again. And just like that, he melted into the crowd, gone as quickly as he had appeared. I stood there, my hand closed tightly around the tiny flash drive, my mind spinning out of control. What could possibly be on it? Proof of betrayal? Evidence of something worse? I barely had time to process before I saw my husband again, making his way toward me, with a smile so fake it sent chills down my spine. I quickly slipped the flash drive into my clutch, plastered a smile on my face, and acted like everything was fine. He reached me and casually asked if I was ready to leave. His voice was smooth, too smooth, like he was trying hard not to show how rattled he really was. I nodded, playing along, even though every instinct in me was screaming to run. As we walked toward the parking lot, side by side like any normal couple, I couldn't stop thinking about Ryan's words, about the secret meeting, about the flash drive burning a hole in my purse. The cold night air hit my face as we stepped outside, but it did nothing to calm the storm inside me. I knew one thing for sure. Whatever my husband was hiding, whatever world he was part of, I was now caught right in the middle of it. And the worst part? I had a feeling the real nightmare hadn't even begun yet. We drove in silence. My husband's hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly, his knuckles were white. I could feel the tension radiating from him, but I didn't speak. I didn't need to. I could feel it, the growing gap between us, a distance that had only widened since that night began. As we pulled into our driveway, I could barely contain myself any longer. What's going on, Jack? I asked, my voice trembling. What have you been hiding from me? I know about the meeting. I know about the woman. I know everything. His eyes flickered toward me, but he didn't say anything right away. The silence stretched out painfully, until finally he turned off the engine and sat there, staring straight ahead. Do you really want to know the truth? He asked, his voice low and controlled. Yes, I whispered, my heart pounding in my chest. Tell me everything. He sighed deeply and let his shoulders slump as if the weight of the world had just fallen on him. I never meant for it to go this far, Sarah. I never wanted you to be involved. But now it's too late. He reached into the glove compartment and pulled out a file, thick, sealed with a wax stamp. This, he said, handing it to me. This is what I've been trying to protect you from. The truth is, I'm not just some office guy. I've been working with people who, let's just say, they don't play by the rules. I'm in deep, and I've been trying to get out. But every time I think I'm free, they pull me back in. I opened the file, my hands shaking. Inside, there were documents, photos, and more. Everything from offshore accounts to connections to dangerous individuals. But what caught my eye was a photo of my husband, shaking hands with someone I never thought I'd see, Ryan. Suddenly, I understood. Ryan wasn't just a college friend. He was part of this web of secrets, a part of a world I had never imagined. But just when I thought the worst was behind me, I heard a voice from the driveway, a voice I recognized all too well. Ryan stepped out of the shadows, a cold smile on his face. "I told you not to trust him," he said, his words cutting through the night air. "But you should have known. In this world, no one gets out alive." And with that, the true horror of my husband's life, of everything we had, suddenly came crashing down. I stood there, frozen, staring at Ryan. His words echoed in my mind, but I couldn't bring myself to understand them. No one gets out alive. The words clung to me like a heavy fog, weighing me down. Ryan took a step closer, his eyes cold, calculating. "You're in deeper than you think, Sarah," he said. "It's too late to back out now. There's no turning back from this." He glanced at my husband, who hadn't said a word, his face drawn with fear. "Jack, what is this?" I whispered, the truth finally hitting me. "What have you done?" Jack's eyes met mine, filled with regret. He was a man caught in a life he never meant for me to see. "I wanted to protect you," he said, his voice breaking, "but I got too involved. I didn't know how to get out." Ryan is right. The people I've been dealing with, they don't let you walk away. I thought I could shield you, keep you safe, but I was wrong. I felt a mix of anger and heartbreak. He had lied to me for years, kept me in the dark, while secretly living a life that was anything but safe. But as much as I wanted to scream at him, to run, I knew I needed to think, to find a way out of this nightmare. Ryan moved closer, his face tight with impatience. "It's over now. There's no escape. You're with us now, Sarah. You've seen too much." But something shifted inside me, a cold, steely determination. I wouldn't let this be my life. I wouldn't let this be my future. I looked at my husband one last time, my heart heavy but resolute. "I won't be a part of this, Jack," I said quietly. "You made your choices. Now I'll make mine." With a final defiant glance at Ryan, I turned and walked away, my heart pounding. The night air felt different now, colder but freeing. I wasn't going to stay trapped in a life built on lies. The road ahead wasn't going to be easy, but I knew one thing for sure. I would find my own way out. As I drove off into the night, leaving everything behind, I knew it wasn't just my husband's secrets I had to escape. It was my own fears, and in that moment, I felt freer than I had in years.